There isn't a producer on this planet. I'm willing to bet my left nut there is not a producer on this planet that hasn't heard of Omnisphere, the most coveted VST, once thought to be the holy grail, once thought to be the key to making good beats. So I want to do that legacy of Omnisphere justice by putting y'all onto a couple of sounds that I use or have used in the past to make R&B beats with. I'm giving you an overview of keys, pads, 2 basses, and 1 single lead. And honestly, while I'm sitting here spitting, Omnisphere really is the only synth, the only VST you need for sounds. And yo, don't look at me like that. So with that being said, beautiful people, y'all get to listen to the demo track, and after that we're going to start our breakdown. Yay. So just now y'all got to hear the demo track. Let's skip right to the processing, and I'm also going to tell you why processing is important for your sounds. Now, I don't think y'all need to hear this from me, but I'm going to say it for the sake of repeating it. Now, processing is important because it allows you to, give your own flavor to the sounds that you're using. And also you have to realize that all of these sounds won't immediately sound good out of the box. And even if they are good out of the box, they generally are good out of the box, but that doesn't mean that they immediately fit your aesthetic and your sound. So processing is important. Now, this is a processing chain that I'm using a lot in my videos. I'm using my equalizer to make some cuts, of course. A lot of people, for a certain R&B sound, they will opt for a big fat low pass filter. I decided not to because with these keys I don't think it's necessary. I'm using the solid bus compressor just to tame the dynamics in terms of volume a little bit. Often I will go for a multi-band compressor because I think it's necessary to tame certain frequencies. I'm using Choral, of course, by Native Instruments, my go-to chorus effect. Shaper Box, basically my Swiss knife in terms of effects, always on my send, of course, and Cymatics Origin. That's how I get these keys to sound the way I want them to. As for pads, well, I have a pretty specific pad preset, a EQ with a very big low pass filter, and depending on what I use, I'm also putting a high pass filter on it. Choral, Phases, my phaser, go-to phaser, of course, always in my kit. Shaper Box, of course, and Crystallizer, which is easily my favorite Soundtoys plugin, especially when it comes to granular effects. I think I prefer it just a little bit more than Portal because it also doubles as a cool creative delay. Cool, so enough of all that. In this video, I'll be showing you a number of keys. I'll be showing you a number of pads. I'm also going to be demoing an alternative to the Growler Moog bass, and I'm rocking with just one lead. So it's mostly going to be focused on keys and pads for this video. Alright, so for our first batch of sounds, in terms of keys, I'm using the Go Summer keyboard. I don't quite know how to pronounce it, but this is what I pronounce it as, the Go Summer keyboard, of course. I'm using the Growler Moog bass, staple R&B, trap soul, dark R&B, dark trap kind of bass, of course. Using the Winded flutes as a pad, I'm gonna demo it soon, trust me. And I'm using the Fast Shift Airborne flute as a fluty kind of lead. So this one, this one, this one, and that one. Alright, so that was a quick demo of the first batch of sounds. Now I switched out the keyboard and the pad for different ones. Instead of the Go Summer keyboard, I'm using the Liquid Tones pad. And these guitar riffs are pretty cool actually if you want to get some more evocative, some kind of innocent, playfully sounding sounds in your R&B beats. And I'm combining that with the Blow Selena pad. And the Selena, you might recognize that name since it also is an instrument, of course. It's a very well-known synth, and an emulation of that is included in the V collection by Arturia. So individually it sounds like this. You know, it sounds super dreamy, especially when combined with the right processing, of course. And the pad sounds like this. And in context with a beat, it sounds like this. Of course, you're gonna need some processing to open that up because it's very boomy and very boxy, of course, but that's not the point. The point is you get a real cool, almost analogish sounding sound, especially with that Bloom Selena string is patched. So those are your go-to sounds. I'd say maybe for even you know, dreamy kind of beats, but mostly more darker, melancholic beats for, say, Black or The Weeknd, especially with his 80s vibe. Okay, so for the third batch of sounds, I want to introduce y'all to the Dream Piano Celeste. Now, I generally don't think that this is amazing as like a layer up front, but I think that it's amazing as some kind of a backing layer. Say that you have a pluck or whatever kind of piano up front. I feel that this really adds to that dreaminess. You know, the name does kind of imply it. You know, it's usually best combined, used heavily filtered in the background to thicken up that kind of keys layer. I'm running that together with my favorite pad in Omnisphere, which is the Super Juno pad, and you'll notice that a lot of the pads, a lot of the sounds are based, of course, on OG synth sounds, of course, since they form such an incredible basis, and they have, you know, a genuine history as absolute juggernauts in terms of synthesis and sound design. Nothing's changed in terms of my bass and my lead. I'm still using the same bass and lead, so it's prominently featuring the piano and the pad. So this is what they are going to sound like in context with a beat. And switching it up again. So we switched out our what is a Dream Piano Celeste for the Sweetness Roach. I think this is a very smooth E-piano patch, which I feel is kind of out of place with the vibe of the demo track that I'm using, but you know, bear with me. And I went into the vinyl lo-fi bag to take out the olden days flutes. Now I feel that this, especially for making more ethereal R&B, you know, darker R&B sounds, you know, especially if you're looking for more Nami/Coupe de Truth kind of sounds, I think that this is a bank that you absolutely should start using. And whatever lo-fi keys bank you can find in either Analog Lab, or you can use lo-fi keys or hybrid keys in Kontakt if you're using that. So this one is a dope pad that I genuinely always use. And I'm also gonna switch up my bass because I want to introduce y'all to the Moog Modular Classic, which is a bass that I've used for only one beat yet, but I recently rediscovered it and I'm like, wow, I probably should be using this one a bit more. So let me just solo the bass and the pads, y'all can hear it in context. Beautiful folks, and here comes the last batch of sounds that I want to leave y'all with. So when it comes to pads, I feel that the Cherry Blossoms patch, which you can find in the Fluty Colors bank under the tab, the Type tab, is dope. It's very dope. Then genuinely, I think that this particular bank is, you know, super dope to have the Fluty Colors. You know, you get very airy and open sounds that are dope for Jhené Aiko kind of beats, SZA kind of beats, her kind of beats, also Black kind of beats, maybe even Bryson Tiller kind of beats. There's just so many open, airy, and ambient sounds in there. I would definitely check out that little tab right there. In terms of keys, I took out the old distant piano, which you can find in the keyboards tab, but I think that if you were to look by type, you can also find it in the vinyl and lo-fi tab. And they sound like this without beat, and then I'm gonna play them with the beat. Alright, beautiful folks, so that concludes the rundown of the sounds that I regularly use to make some dope R&B beats, but there's still a couple of things that I want to put y'all onto. Let me just move the mic over here and get back to my screen, feel me. So the first thing that I want to introduce you to is the sound match tab in Omnisphere. And basically, if you have a certain patch that you like and you would just like to have more of that specific sound, you can hit the sound match tab, and basically it'll give you an overview of things that sound like it, that are similar in sonic quality, that are similar in vibe, of course. The other thing that I definitely want to implore, and I said this in the beginning of the video, Omnisphere really is the only synth you need because it is so vast, so extensive in its sound design options. I mean, you look at the oscillator tab, which is accessible by hitting this right here, this magnifying glass, and you go to different kinds of synthesis and modulations, frequency, ring modulation, wave shaper, unison, harmonics, and a granular synthesis module, which is personally my favorite. Like, Omnisphere is almost limitless in what it does. It's not a rompler, it's not this big elaborate collection of presets. It's unlimited, honestly, and honestly it's only the only synth you genuinely need. And I say this with respect to Expand and Analog Lab and Pigments, of course. I'm a user of all of them, but honestly, this would really be the only synth that I need. And that being said, beautiful people, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope that this gives you an overview of the sounds that I use in Omnisphere to make R&B. I hope this puts you on track of looking for the sounds that you want to use for your R&B beats in Omnisphere. If you enjoyed this video, please let a brother know, like, share, and subscribe. And I'm gonna do more patch breakdowns. I'm gonna do more patch overviews, put you onto more sounds of other VSTs in the future. Yay. Y'all be easy. Peace.